world's first motorcycle was created in 1885 by two German engineers. That was over 130 years ago. A lot's changed over time. We're going to explore the most peculiar changes. From a motorbike powered by steam to a bike that transforms into a boat in under 5 seconds, we're going to explore the 15 most unusual motorcycles ever made.
The seating position is nice and upright, giving you a very clear and commanding view ahead over what is a very functional display.
Uno Dicycle. A dicycle was a vehicle with two parallel wheels, side by side, as opposed to having one wheel in front of the other. The Uno is a motorized dicycle that was created in 2006 by, get this, a 17-year-old kid making a science fair project. His name is Ben Gulak, and he's been inventing things since he was a small boy in his grandfather's machine shop. The teen was upset about the pollution traditional cars leave behind and decided to design a more eco-friendly way to travel. Thus, the Uno was born. Ben knew in order for the Uno to be successful, it had to be eye-catching. We're a visual society, and Ben set out to prove that going green can still be stylish and cool. Similar to a Segway, the Uno uses gyroscopes to maintain its balance. A rear kickstand supports it when it's parked. The latest version of the Uno has 3 wheels. When the bike reaches 15 miles per hour, the middle wheel moves to the front and the 2 outer wheels move to the back. The entire transition happens in under 1 second while in full motion. Now that's a scary ride. Now let's get ready for today's missing topic. Would you look at that? Now this is a chopper. Look at all that chrome. Look at how big it is. It's a bike lover's dream. Can you imagine seeing it out on the road? I'm not even sure this is street legal. I mean, how many modifications were made on this thing? It looks to be a Harley Davidson with some, let's call them upgrades. This photo has been floating around the internet lately and we want to get to the bottom of it. If you know who owns this bike or any information at all, comment below using the hashtag missing topic and let us know. Hey, did you know that if you smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell, you're more likely to win the lottery? So what are you waiting for? Piaggio MP3. The Piaggio MP3 is a tilted 3-wheeled scooter by Piaggio, an Italian motor vehicle manufacturer. The 3 wheels allow it to stand while it's parked, unlike a traditional motorbike. It also can be parked on hills and slopes. This machine is truly a city commuter's dream. Because of its 3-wheel design, it's technically listed as a tricycle, meaning you can drive it without a standard driver's license. This bike is great for first-time and novice riders. It has a front brake, which is required for all 3- or 4-wheel vehicles, but it helps beginner riders feel comfortable. The no kickstand feature allows you to safely stop at red lights without having to balance the weight of the bike yourself. The 80 miles of travel per gallon guarantees you won't be at the gas station every day. If you don't have a motorcycle license but you are still looking to experience the thrill of having the wind blow through your hair on the open road, you might want to invest in the MP3. It has all the perks of a standard motorbike without the hassle. White Lock Tinker Toy. Now, here's something you don't see every day. Here's the vehicle that owns the record for an engine with the most cylinders. You probably would have guessed that that record belongs to a monster truck or plane or some type of ship, but you'd be wrong. The amazing and unique 48-cylinder engine belongs to this motorcycle, the White Lock Tinker Toy. Created by Hertfordshire Superbike Centre in the UK, the vehicle took an astonishing 5 years to build. The truth is, it doesn't have 48 cylinders. It actually has 49 if you count the single cylinder and the starter engine. The developers admit that it wasn't built for speed or power. In fact, it was made to get in the Guinness World Record books. It's technically drivable, but unless you're 7 feet tall with exceptionally long arms, you won't be comfortable riding it. In fact, your arms probably aren't long enough to turn the steering wheel. The bike designer has only been able to ride it moving straight forward with no turning. The Tinker Toy is said to be capable of reaching 110 miles an hour. If you're interested in purchasing it, the owner says he may consider selling it if he's met with the right offer. He currently doesn't see himself selling it for less than £500,000, which is about 650,000 American dollars. So what do you think? Time to break out that piggy bank. Vespa 150 Tap. Okay, my son has a scooter, but it's nothing like this. The Vespa 150 Tap is a military anti-tank scooter that's specifically designed to take out tanks on the battlefield. introduced in 1956 and updated in 1959, and briefly used by the French military, who apparently found the benefits in the scoot and shoot strategy. The 246-pound machine can travel up to 40 miles per hour. It carries 22-pound missiles that travel 1,000 feet per second. It fires with virtually no recoil, keeping the vehicle riding smoothly while it shoots. Unlike many unique post-Cold War military ventures, the Vespa did indeed make it into actual combat. Although it never took out any enemy tanks like it was originally designed, it did destroy enemy fortifications and smaller, lightly armored vehicles. The Vespa was relatively inexpensive to make, costing about $500 per unit. Scooter enthusiast and collector Dick Humpty once set off on a journey to locate the world's last Vespas. From shows to junkyards, he searched high and low, hoping to find an original Vespa scooter. To this day, many bike shops around the world have restored the scooters, even painting them in bright, vibrant colors. Hey, I don't think they were candy red on that battlefield. The Arc Vector. Arc Vector news bursted on the scene in 2018, warning the public they were going to change the game. They promised to deliver an electric hyperbike that would weigh less than 500 pounds, 133 brake horsepower, a 0 to full charge in 45 minutes, and an impressive 360 miles before plug-ins. But the UK company was let down when investors failed to keep the promises that were made to them. But then something happened amazing. After losing the company to bankruptcy, original owner Mark Truman managed to purchase the company back. Mark then set out to release what many think is the most important work of his life, the Arc Vector. Staying true to his word, the bike was released with all the promised features. The bike also operates with a human-machine interface that includes a tech-embedded jacket and helmet that provides haptic feedback. That's right, similar to Tony Stark's Iron Man suit, the Vector gives the rider all its information directly to the suit and helmet. One of the first things you'll notice when you take a look at the motorbike is the fact that there's no dashboard. Everything you need to see is displayed directly in the helmet while you wear it, and the suit vibrates to alert any warnings. Now that's pretty cool. Helsinn steam-powered motorcycle. We've seen vehicles that run on gas and vehicles that run on electricity, but what about a motor that runs on steam? You may think this is a look into the future, but it's actually a blast from the past. Travel back to 1914 with me and take a look at the motorcycle William Hell designed called the Helsinn. Hell had been experimenting with small steam engines and got the idea to use one for a bike, and history was made. It was recently featured at a bike show where it was shown actually being ridden. There are even independent bike companies who will build you a Helsinn replica for $10,000 to $15,000. I don't think it's a bad idea considering the pollution that gas-powered motors leave behind. Would you ride a Helsinn on your commute to work? Comment below and let us know what you think. Rokon Trailbreaker. Trailbreakers are motorcycles designed for off-road riding. Mountain roads, bumpy terrains, and hilly areas are all great places to ride the Rokon. Most popular in the 1960s, many bike enthusiasts still find the Rokon to be an incredible vehicle to this day. Trailbreakers first gained popularity in the California sand dunes in the late 1950s. Rokon motorcycles use a combination of chain, belt, and shaft drives to drive both the front and rear wheels. Because they're designed to perform on rugged terrain, they do not reach high speeds, but it's the high-intensity feel most riders are looking for when they purchase a Rokon. The hollow drum wheels provide flotation in sand, mud, or snow. There isn't much the Rokon can't take on. Celebrity television host and motorcycle collector Jay Leno owns one and calls it one of his favorite bikes to date. The 1929 Majestic. Take a look at our next bike. Take a guess, is this from the past or is it a new motorbike leading us to the future? There have been so many bike designs over the years. Would you believe me if I told you this bike is from 1929? The Majestic is a bike invented in France by Georges Roy. Georges set out to create something that combined the best parts of an automobile with the thrills of a motorcycle. What made the Majestic special was its enveloping bodywork, the swooping steel panels with unbroken lines from nose to tail. One thing that hasn't changed in nearly 100 years of the bike's existence is how cool it looks. Imagine traveling on the interstate, wind blowing in your hair, just you and the open road. Unfortunately, there are some technical issues that go beyond the looks of this vehicle. For one, the steering is far from accurate and you'll find yourself having to adjust the handlebars often. Also, there have been complaints that the engine isn't especially powerful, leaving more to be desired from some enthusiasts. But yet and still, the Majestic is a true looker. No one can deny that. Maybe it's best showcased in museums and bike shows. Gibbs Quadski. The Gibbs Quadski is a beast on land. Specifically designed for off-road action, you'll have a blast twisting and turning on rugged terrains. Trust me, you're the king of the hill when riding this monster. But the coolest feature of the Quadski isn't when the rubber meets the road, it's actually when the rubber meets the water. In only 5 seconds, this remarkable ATV seamlessly transforms from a vehicle to a watercraft. I'm pretty sure we've seen something like this in a James Bond movie. Anyway, the Quadski has a top speed of 45 miles per hour, and that's on land and water. The perfect beach partner, you can drive yourself there and get in the water all in one swoop. Between 2012 and 2016, only about 1,000 of these gems were assembled for sale before production ended. They were sold all around the world. Not only does Gibbs no longer manufacture Quadskis, but no other company is licensed to make them as well. If you find one now, it won't be cheap. Expect to spend about $40,000. But imagine taking a date out on a ride, then shocking them by turning your four-wheeler into a no-wheeler. Now that's a flex. Michaud Perrot Steam Velocipede. Sometime between 1867 and 1871, someone took a small Louis Guillaume Perrot steam engine and attached it to an iron-framed pedal bicycle. Some people consider this to be the world's very first motorcycle, a debate that's been ongoing for years. Motoring journalist and author defines a motorcycle as a bicycle that's being propelled by a heat engine. In that case, then yeah, this steam velocipede is indeed the very first motorcycle. But other historians reject that idea, saying a true motorcycle must run on gasoline. The opposing sides both present compelling evidence, and the dispute isn't likely to be settled anytime soon. Steam power was all the rage in the mid-1800s, so it's no shock that someone decided to add a steam engine to a bike. It's actually fairly simple to do. A small single-cylinder steam engine hangs below the seat, which also functions as a water tank. The rider sits forward and lets the steam do all the work. And while the debate on what was the first motorcycle lives on, one thing about this cannot be denied. Everyone agrees that this is the very first bike to use the right handlebar grip to control the throttle, a design that's still being used by all modern motorbikes today. So what do you think? Do you think this is the world's first motorcycle? The Quasar. The Quasar is a semi-enclosed feet-forward motorcycle. It was created by two men named Malcolm Newell and Ken Lehman. Although it's technically categorized as a motorcycle, it goes against almost all of our ideas on what a motorcycle actually is. First, the rider doesn't sit up straddling the vehicle. Instead, he sits down with his feet planted forward. Still, the Quasar is a cabin bike, being it has a roof that encloses the rider. The front windshield also uses a traditional car style of wipers and a heater. Yeah, it's everything we know a motorcycle is not, but it actually does still contain the heart and soul of a good old-fashioned motorbike. First, it obviously gets a check mark in the two wheels column. Next, it may look like it travels at the same speed as a golf cart, but it actually can exceed 100 miles an hour, a selling point to many of the Quasar's fans. But in the long run, only 21 of these vehicles were ever made. Of those 21, only 10 can still be located. So if you're lucky enough to find one, maybe you should play the lottery. The Magola. The Magola was a German motorbike produced from 1921 to 1925. When you lay your eyes on it, the first thing you'll notice is its unique design. A 5-cylinder rotary engine is mounted right in the front wheel. There are a few benefits that come with this design, along with a few drawbacks as well. On the positive side, the engine's simplicity makes it extremely reliable with very little maintenance needed. But on the other side of the coin is the negative, that being the fact that there is no clutch, gearbox, or any type of neutral setting. This means whenever you want to stop the vehicle, the engine must be turned off. This may not have been an issue in 1920 when stoplights were far and few between, but in this day, there's no way it would work. You would have to completely turn off the engine for every traffic light, stop sign, or any other reason we make the many stops we do when we travel. Remember how reliable I said the engine was? I'm not sure it will remain that way with so much wear and tear. Yet and still, the Magola is considered a classic among bike lovers. Many are still collected and appreciated today, with a running price tag of $100,000 fully restored. Niracar. Car Niracar. invented the aptly named Nero car in 1918. It used a steel channel chassis, much like a traditional automobile, and hub-centered steering, making it nearly a car. Get it? It's a double pun when you realize that Nerocar is also a misspelling of Nierker's last name. His bike design was sold from 1921 to 1928 and was hugely popular during those times. In those 7 years, it sold over 16,000 units. To this day, it remains the highest-selling hub-centered motorcycle of all time. He first emerged on the vehicle market as a sales rep for Smith Motor Wheel Company. He then moved up to chief engineer. Soon after, he began his production of the now famous Nerocar. After World War I, many aircraft companies found themselves without any orders to fill, so they began making motorcycles. His design became so popular, he created headquarters in Britain and the US. Another interesting thing about the Nerocar was how it was directly marketed to women. It may seem normal now, but you've got to remember, the 1920s was very different for women at that time. They had just received the right to vote in 1920, but all in all, their social roles were very limited. So in a sense, the Nerocar was one of the first companies to endorse women's rights. Good going, Carl. The Jaguar bike. So, your eyes don't deceive you. Meet the Night Shadow, the bike inspired by the British car Jaguar. One look at this bike and you can tell it's not very practical. Baron Hems, the designer and creator, initially wanted to make a car that was shaped like the Jaguar logo, but in the middle of his planning, he had an epiphany, and Night Shadow was born. There's an entire motorcycle subculture dedicated to making bikes look like all types of things, but this has to be the first one. It took Baron a full 10 years to complete Night Shadow. Working as an interior designer by day, he used his nights to work on his side project. If you've ever seen Baron out riding Night Shadow, you'll notice his leaning forward so far to grab the handlebars it almost looks awkward. But he admits he still gets a kick out of the attention he gets with his pet project. Some people look at vehicles as a way to get from point A to point B and that's it, but not Baron. He likes to take a ride on the wild side. The BMW GS. Here's the father of all motorcycles, the BMW R1200 GS. It hit the market back in 2004 and the bike world hasn't been the same since. By 2007, over 100,000 units were sold, making it BMW's best-selling bike to date. In 2012, Cycle World magazine, which is basically the bike bible for motorcycle lovers, named the GS the best motorbike of the past 25 years. It's widely considered the perfect bike, and its reputation remains to this day. In fact, the latest GS release saw a sales record almost immediately upon release. There are numerous owners clubs dedicated to the GS series. You'd be hard-pressed to find another bike model as popular as this one. Several celebrities have also boasted their love for this champion of bikes. One thing that makes the GS so special is the fact that BMW continues to make improvements with every new release. But how do you perfect what's already perfect? The answer is in the details. BMW consistently has been improving their techniques, which is why they remain ahead of the game. Well, how about that? 15 of the world's most unusual motorcycles. Comment below which ones surprised you the most. And as always, smash that like button and share this video with a friend.